30 years. An entire lifetime unfurled in the shadow of a throne, poised on the precipice of a single, elusive yes. The love story of Princess Lilian of Sweden and Prince Bertil is legendary, celebrated as one of the 20th century's most romantic tales. Newsprint sang of unwavering devotion, of a fairy tale miraculously brought to life. But what if, beyond the glossy veneer of their narrative, lay a chilling dilemma? What if their love was not merely forbidden, but a direct, existential threat to the very survival of an ancient monarchy? Today, we'll peel back the layers of this 30-year drama, venturing behind the velvet curtains to uncover the true cost of a love potent enough to rewrite the very laws of a kingdom. To truly grasp the magnitude of this tale, we must first journey to a world seemingly light years removed from the opulent halls of Stockholm's palaces. Our narrative begins in Wales in the year 1915. In the industrial heart of Swansea, a city perpetually scented by coal dust and sea air, a girl named Lilian May Davies came into the world. Her father transitioned from coal miner to market stall owner, while her mother earned a living as a saleswoman. This was a world defined by honest labor, humble existence, and straightforward aspirations. A world where titles and crowns were mere fodder for newspaper headlines, utterly detached from daily reality. Yet, within young Lilian, a dream shimmered, too vibrant to be contained by the drab realities of Welsh life. At the age of 16, she made an audacious move, relocating to London. In the 1930s, the capital of the British Empire was a veritable cauldron of ambition, dazzling glamour, and cutthroat competition. Lilian, however, was not one to be lost in such a whirlwind. Her refined beauty and innate sense of style unlocked the doors to the exclusive world of high fashion. She swiftly became a sought-after model, her striking face gracing the pages of prestigious magazines like Vogue. She carved her own path to success, relying solely on her formidable character and undeniable talent. Her life, it seemed, was unfolding according to a perfectly predictable script. In 1940, she married actor Ivan Craig. It was a harmonious union of two souls from the artistic realm, a fitting match. Yet, their shared life was almost immediately disrupted by the seismic shifts of history itself. The Second World War erupted, and Lilian's husband, like millions of other Britons, departed for the front lines. Their paths diverged, leaving her alone in a London gripped by apprehension. Lilian was not one to passively await fate's turn. This woman, accustomed to the glamour of glossy photo shoots, plunged into work at a munitions factory, assembling radio receivers for the Royal Navy. After her shifts, she volunteered at a hospital for wounded soldiers. In those pivotal years, the beautiful model was forged into a strong, independent woman, hardened by the crucible of war. She could not have known that this very experience, this steadfast resilience and unwavering inner strength, was preparing her for the most pivotal encounter of her life. London in 1943. The city endured, its nights cloaked in blackout, its days punctuated by the wail of air raid sirens, yet it never surrendered. It was precisely in this fraught atmosphere, where each day could be their last, where people desperately clung to fleeting moments of joy, that a fateful meeting was destined to occur. An encounter that would defy the centuries-old traditions of one of Europe's oldest monarchies. On a stage meticulously set by history itself, the other protagonist was poised to make his entrance, a charming prince from distant, neutral Sweden. Princess Lilian's jewelry box was no mere state treasury, brimming with centuries-old relics and symbols of power. Instead, it was a deeply personal narrative, shimmering in diamonds and platinum. Each exquisite piece in her collection didn't loudly proclaim dynastic power. Rather, it whispered of the profound love of one particular man. It was not a monarch's arsenal of symbols, but the intimate diary of a woman who earned her happiness not through birthright, but through a long and devoted struggle. The undisputed crown jewel of this unique collection, its most recognizable emblem, was the Boucheron laurel tiara. And here lay the first striking paradox. Though Lilian was not a princess by birth, this particular jewel carried the imprimatur, the very blessing, of one of Sweden's most beloved crown princesses, Margaret of Connaught. It was Margaret herself, Prince Bertil's grandmother, who commissioned the tiara in Paris in 1905. This exquisite piece, originally crafted for Queen Victoria's granddaughter, patiently awaited its moment for decades, destined to eventually grace the head of the woman who would irrevocably alter the traditions of the Swedish court. Picture not a cumbersome, weighty crown, but a sculpture of platinum and diamonds so light it felt almost alive. The tiara is meticulously fashioned into two delicate laurel branches, converging elegantly at its center. The artisans at Boucheron didn't merely adorn it with gems, they coaxed life into each one. Each individual diamond, secured with a specialized setting technique, quivers almost imperceptibly with the slightest movement, creating the mesmerizing illusion of morning dew glistening on verdant leaves. You can almost physically sense its cool, delicate touch against the skin, an astonishing lightness that stands in stark, breathtaking contrast to the immense weight of history it quietly carries. This tiara was a pure embodiment of the Belle Époque style, with its reverence for nature and its fluid, organic lines. From ancient times, the laurel wreath has symbolized triumph, victory, and eternal glory. And what symbol could have been more fitting for Lilian? Her life was a quiet, yet undeniable triumph of love over protocol. Moreover, the tiara was a transformer. It could also be worn as a necklace. This versatility, this modern flexibility, perfectly mirrored Lilian's own character, a woman who could work in a factory with as much grace as she could shine at a royal reception. At the dawn of the 20th century, the Boucheron jewelry house stood at the pinnacle of its artistry. To create this masterpiece, old-cut diamonds were meticulously selected, stones renowned for their unique, soft and profound brilliance, a stark contrast to the cold, sharp fire of contemporary gems. Every delicate vein on the platinum leaves, every single berry crowned with a diamond, was painstakingly crafted by hand. This was not merely an adornment, it was a work of art, where technical perfection served to convey the fragile beauty of nature itself. But the tiara was merely the opening chapter in her personal jewelry saga. Her famous diamond rivieres, strands of flawless pearls, and elegant brooches, almost all of them were gifts from Bertil. These were not state regalia passed down through generations, but tokens of affection, markers of their shared history. Each piece commemorated a quiet anniversary, a Christmas spent together, or simply a day when he wished to delight his beloved. Her jewelry box was a treasure map of their 30-year odyssey. Thus, the anatomy of Princess Lilian's treasures is truly unique. Its foundation isn't built on carats or historical provenance, but on raw human emotion, patience, unwavering devotion, and boundless love. Each jewel was not a symbol of the status she ultimately achieved, but rather a milestone on that long and arduous journey. It was a collection assembled by the heart, not by the court's protocol service. December 7th, 1976. This day was not marked on calendars as a national holiday, nor were the streets of Stockholm abuzz with lavish parades. The triumph they had awaited for 33 years unfolded in the quiet, almost intimate setting of Drottningholm Palace Chapel. Here, before the newly crowned king and queen, the woman known to the world as Lilian Craig prepared to finally become who she had been in her heart for her entire adult life, Prince Bertil's wife. It was not the debut of a young princess, but the crowning achievement of an entire life lived in love and steadfast anticipation. At the center of all eyes was the 61-year-old bride. She did not wear a voluminous white gown. Instead, Lilian chose an elegant, soft blue ensemble from her favorite designer, Elizabeth Wondrak, complemented by a feathered pillbox hat. Her appearance was the epitome of understated dignity and profound wisdom. In her smile, there was no youthful shyness, but rather the deep, hard-won serenity of a woman who had patiently awaited her happiness. She wasn't simply joining the royal family, she was officially taking the place that had rightfully belonged to her for decades. Upon her silvering hair, the Boucheron laurel tiara gleamed. On this day, the jewel, originally created for a crown princess, found its truest meaning. It was not merely an accessory, it was a victor's laurel. Each shimmering diamond on the laurel leaves seemed to speak of years of patience, of fidelity, of the indomitable will of two people. The tiara was not a symbol of power, but a testament to the triumph of a long and devoted love that had outlasted kings, laws, and an entire era. It became the final, resonant chord in her bridal ensemble, tangible proof that a fairy tale had indeed come true. The reaction from their contemporaries was overwhelming, not because of pomp and circumstance, but due to the incredible humanity of the event. Newspapers across the globe splashed headlines celebrating the love that waited 30 years. Society didn't perceive a mismatch or a breach of protocol. Instead, it saw two people whose devotion to each other evoked not condemnation, but boundless respect and admiration. The Swedish people, who had long been privy to this open secret, breathed a collective sigh of relief and joy. Their beloved prince was, at long last, officially happy. But the most profound impact of this event reverberated within the monarchy itself. For Sweden, it transcended a mere royal wedding. It was a seismic shift, a potent symbol of the liberalization and humanization of an ancient institution. The young King Carl XVI, Gustaf, Bertil's nephew, who had himself only recently married the commoner Sylvia Sommerlath, didn't merely bless his uncle with this gesture. He inaugurated a new era for the monarchy, an age where the personal happiness of a royal family member would no longer be sacrificed at the altar of dynastic laws. Lilian and Bertil's wedding became the first and most resounding declaration of this bold new direction. The wedding festivities faded, but for Princess Lilian, true life in the public spotlight was just beginning. She entered the royal family not as a young, inexperienced debutante, but as a mature, wise woman whose charm and warmth instantly captivated the Swedish people. She wasn't seen as an outsider. She was embraced as a long-awaited and well-deserved part of the family, affectionately called Aunt Lilian. Her golden age commenced, a period when she could finally shine openly alongside her husband, her exquisite jewels becoming an indispensable part of that radiance. Center stage in this new public persona unreservedly went to the Boucheron laurel tiara. It became her signature piece, her very crown. Year after year, at the most significant and ceremonial event of the Swedish kingdom, the Nobel Prize award ceremony, it was this tiara that graced Princess Lilian's head. Against the backdrop of formal white tie and elegant evening gowns, her graceful silhouette, accentuated by the shimmering diamond laurel leaves, became as much an indispensable fixture of the evening as the presence of the king himself. She wore it with a unique dignity, devoid of any hint of arrogance, as if it were not a treasure but a natural extension of her very being. For Lilian, this tiara was more than just an adornment. It was her personal talisman, a symbol of her long struggle and ultimate triumph. Each time she donned it, she wasn't simply following protocol, she was silently telling her story. This laurel wreath, once belonging to her husband's grandmother, acquired a new, poignant meaning on her. It became a crown not of power, but of fidelity. It symbolized not a birthright, but the right to love, valiantly claimed from destiny. To wear it was, for her, an act of affirming her hard-won happiness. Of course, her collection was by no means limited to one tiara. Prince Bertil tirelessly indulged his beloved throughout their life together. Exquisite strands of pearls perfectly accentuated her impeccable taste. Elegant diamond brooches, which she knew how to wear with distinct panache, pinning them sometimes to the lapel of a jacket, sometimes to an evening gown. Each of these jewels was not merely a part of her jewelry wardrobe, but a tangible memory, a gift made with love and tenderness. Her background as a model undoubtedly played a role. Unlike many princesses by birth, Lilian possessed an innate sense of style and a profound understanding of how clothing and accessories coalesce to create an image. She never let the jewels wear her. She dictated their role. She could appear at a formal reception adorned in lavish diamonds, and the next day captivate everyone with a modest yet perfectly chosen brooch. Her style was an epitome of elegance, contemporary yet always appropriate, never ostentatious but always memorable. Thus, Princess Lilian's golden age blossomed into the golden age of her jewelry as well. They were no longer mere precious objects locked away in a vault. They stepped onto the global stage alongside their owner, becoming emblems not only of her personal joy, but also of a new, more human and open Swedish monarchy. In the dazzling brilliance of her diamonds, the world glimpsed not the cold majesty of the crown, but the warm glow of one of the 20th century's most beautiful love stories. But it would be naive to imagine that 3 decades of waiting unfolded in an unclouded idyll, straight out of the pages of a sentimental novel. Behind the glittering facade of this love story lay a quiet, yet no less dramatic scandal that kept the entire Swedish court on edge for decades. And the shadow of this scandal wasn't cast by secret intrigues, but by one singular, insurmountable problem. Let's be candid. Their story began by flouting every conceivable and inconceivable rule. When Prince Bertil met Lilian Davies in 1943, she was a married woman. Her husband, actor Ivan Craig, was at that very moment fighting for the British Empire on the fronts of the Second World War. By the laws of that era, a romance between a crown prince and a married commoner was not just compromising, it was utterly unthinkable. And though Lilian and her husband divorced amicably after the war, this initial fact forever remained etched in their biography, laying the groundwork for future obstacles. However, the true drama unfolded not in the royal bedrooms, but within the hallowed halls of the royal council. In 1947, tragedy struck. Bertil's elder brother, Prince Gustav Adolf, perished in a plane crash. His son, the future King Carl XVI Gustav, was at that point an infant. The young heir's other uncles had already forfeited their rights to the throne due to morganatic marriages. Overnight, Prince Bertil became the sole adult male in the direct line of succession. He faced a truly Hamlet-esque dilemma: marry the woman he loved, and by the harsh laws of the time, renounce his claim to the throne, thereby abandoning the dynasty to an uncertain future, or sacrifice personal happiness for the sake of duty to the crown. Thus began their 3-decade period of an open secret. Their romance was Sweden's most widely known secret. Everyone knew the prince lived with Mrs. Craig in their home, Villa Solbacken. They were seen together at unofficial events. They hosted guests. But for official protocol, Lilian simply did not exist. She could not accompany Bertil to state receptions, nor could she sit beside him at royal festivities. It was a life suspended in limbo, a gilded cage where love was a tangible reality, but status remained a phantom. And here, it's crucial to separate documented facts from beautiful yet unsubstantiated myths. In Lilian and Bertil's story, you won't find whispers of infidelity, financial impropriety, or courtly conspiracies. Their narrative is remarkably pure in this regard. The shadow that haunted them was not betrayal or perfidy, but the colossal responsibility weighing on Bertil's shoulders. Every single day for 3 decades, they lived with the acute awareness that their union, their personal happiness, could potentially ignite a constitutional crisis and imperil the very existence of the monarchy. This was not a scandal of passion, but a drama of duty. January the 5th, 1997. The Golden Age did not end with the dramatic gavel of an auction house, nor through a daring theft. It concluded quietly within the walls of their beloved home, Villa Solbacken. Prince Bertil passed away in Lilian's arms. 20 years of official marriage and over half a century of love drew to a close. For Sweden, it was a day of national mourning for one of the most revered members of the royal family. But for Lilian, it marked the end of an entire universe. The man for whom she had waited 3 decades was gone forever. In that moment, her jewelry collection underwent a profound transformation, imperceptible to the naked eye. From symbols of a vibrant, true love, they transmuted into relics, into tangible fragments of a grand past. The laurel wreath tiara, the diamond necklaces, the pearl earrings, everything that once was a gift from a loving husband now stood as a monument to him. The emotional aura surrounding these treasures shifted from the joy of possession to the melancholy of remembrance. Their life in the shadow began, the shadow of a profound loss. Princess Lilian did not banish her jewels to a safe. On the contrary, she continued to wear them at official engagements, performing her royal duties with an even deeper sense of dignity. But now, their brilliance held a poignant undertone. Each appearance in the laurel wreath tiara transcended a mere display of status. It became an act of remembrance, a silent homage to her departed husband. Donning them, she seemed to summon his spirit, feeling his presence near once more. To the world, each such appearance served as a bittersweet echo of their extraordinary narrative. The jewels transformed into her armor, her solitary way of bearing the standard of their enduring affection. The era of their shared brilliance at receptions had irrevocably faded. Princess Lilian, the steadfast guardian of their collective story, now entered the twilight of her years, where every diamond reflected not the harsh gleam of footlights, but the gentle luminescence of an unforgettable love, now residing solely in her heart. In 2013, with the passing of Princess Lilian at the venerable age of 97, a veil seemed to descend permanently upon her jewelry collection. The world held its breath in eager anticipation. What fate awaited these treasures, imbued with such an unparalleled history? Would they be auctioned off in a blaze of publicity, or scatter into private collections, vanishing forever from the public eye? But what transpired next proved to be the most exquisite and touching epilogue to their love story. A silent auction took place, where the only currency exchanged was affection and legacy. A triumphant return unfolded. And the stage for this grand reappearance was perfectly chosen. The Nobel Prize ceremony, that very event where Princess Lilian herself had shimmered for decades. But now, the laurel wreath tiara graced the head not of the silver-haired princess, but of the young and radiant Crown Princess Victoria, Sweden's queen-in-waiting. As the heir to the throne entered the hall, a collective gasp of recognition and admiration rippled across the globe. This was far more than a mere stylistic homage. It was a potent dynastic and deeply emotional gesture. The tiara had come home. It was in this precise moment that the tiara experienced its rebirth, its reinterpretation. On Lilian, it had been the crowning glory of her deeply personal, hard-won triumph, a testament to love that had surmounted every barrier. It was a story told from the past. On Victoria, the very same jewel became a beacon of the future. It transformed into a bridge between generations, a profound gesture of reverence for what came before, and a promise of the monarchy's enduring stability. From a cherished personal relic, the tiara ascended to the status of a national treasure, a vibrant thread weaving together beloved Aunt Lilian with the Queen-to-be. This ascent to a new echelon instantaneously propelled the jewel's value to breathtaking heights. Its worth was no longer measured in the mere cost of platinum and diamonds. Its historical provenance became utterly impeccable, crafted for a granddaughter of Queen Victoria, celebrated by the epic love story of Lilian and Bertil, and now gracefully passed down to the future Queen of Sweden. This exquisite piece transcended price, morphing from a mere item of jewelry into an irreplaceable historical artifact, its fate inextricably intertwined with that of the Swedish crown. And this was not merely true of the tiara. In the years that followed, other treasures from Lilian's jewel box embarked on their new journey. Elegant brooches and necklaces could be spotted adorning Princess Sophia and Princess Madeleine. Each such appearance evoked a warm swell of recognition. The collection was not relegated to a vault. Instead, it was lovingly integrated into the regalia of the new generation of the royal family, continuing to breathe and narrate its unique tale. Thus, the reappearance of Princess Lilian's treasures on the public stage was not a commercial venture, but a profoundly symbolic one. It was not a resurrection from the ashes, but an elegant and affectionate passing of the torch. For a story built entirely upon fidelity and continuity, no more perfect a finale could possibly be imagined. So, where today does this treasure, now a chronicle of love, reside? The answer to that question provides the final, most poignant brushstroke in the portrait of Princess Lilian. In her last will and testament, she left absolutely no room for speculation. Her wishes were a final, heartfelt act of loyalty to the family that had ultimately embraced her without reservation. All of her possessions, including her cherished Villa Solbacken and the entirety of her jewelry collection, were bequeathed to the Swedish royal family. The treasures were neither sold off nor dispersed. They remained home, entrusted to the stewardship of the Bernadotte Family Foundation. Thus, the laurel wreath tiara and Lilian's other jewels attained their ultimate and most esteemed status. Today, they are carefully preserved within Sweden's royal treasury. Yet, they are no mere museum exhibits resting inertly beneath glass. Instead, they remain an active component of the Royal Jewel Fund, readily available for use by senior members of the royal family. Their status has transformed irrevocably. From personal adornments, they have become historical artifacts, dynastic relics that continue to live and serve the crown. Attempting to appraise the monetary value of such pieces is, quite frankly, almost futile. Certainly, there's their material worth: the platinum, the flawless old-cut diamonds, the masterful craftsmanship of the legendary House of Boucheron at its zenith. But this is merely the tip of the iceberg. Their paramount value stems from intangible factors. First, there is their impeccable provenance, a jewel commissioned by a granddaughter of Queen Victoria, which became the emblem of one of the 20th century's most celebrated royal love stories, and is now worn by the future Queen of Sweden. Second, there is their profound historical significance. These precious gems are silent witnesses and active participants in the liberalization of the Swedish monarchy. They embody the triumph of human sentiment over archaic protocol. Therefore, any auction valuation would be nothing more than a number on a page. The true worth of these jewels lies in their singular history, which has rendered them priceless. They no longer belong to a single individual. They belong to history itself, forming a vital part of Sweden's cultural heritage and the world's royal dynasties. And so, we return to the question where it all began. What was the price paid for a love capable of rewriting the laws of a kingdom? The answer is now crystal clear. That price was measured not in carats, but in decades. It was the cost of 33 years of life lived as a phantom, in constant tension between personal happiness and national duty. It was the price of silence, patience, and an unshakable faith that their time would eventually come. And looking at Princess Lilian's story, we understand that she paid that price in full. This is precisely why her jewelry collection stands apart among all the royal treasuries of the world. Typically, the jewels of monarchs are symbols of power, continuity, the enduring strength of a dynasty. They tell the story of a nation. But Lilian's jewels narrate a different tale, the story of a human heart. They became the physical embodiment not of ambition and conquest, but of the quietest and most potent human virtues: fidelity, devotion, and boundless patience. The laurel wreath, tiara by Boucheron, in this context, is not a ruler's crown, but a victor's wreath in a long, arduous, yet silent war for the right to love. Each diamond riviere gifted by Bertil is not a mere badge of status, but a line from their personal diary, intelligible only to the two of them. These jewels absorb decades of waiting, of quiet evenings at Villa Solbakken, of hopes and disappointments, and ultimately, a silent, well-earned triumph. They stand as silent chroniclers, proof that sometimes the grandest story is not the thunder of battles, but the hushed stillness of waiting. They remind us that behind the cool sparkle of precious stones and the flawless artistry of jewelers, there can reside the fervent beat of a human heart and a strength of spirit capable of altering centuries-old traditions. The prince and princess have departed, yet their legacy continues to shine, gracing the heads and dwelling in the hearts of a new generation. And this radiance whispers to us that true masterpieces are immortal, not because they are fashioned from imperishable materials. They are immortal because they become custodians of timeless tales. For ultimately, the world's hardest diamonds are merely delicate vessels for humanity's most undying treasure, its epic love stories.